teary-eyed people, rightfully so. You know, they're just trying to gather more information. They don't know a lot, but they're just scared, and I totally understand that. There's still a bunch of police officers standing in that intersection where that glass bridge is connecting to Crown Center, and they told me that they're just pushing people away from the area. So, you know, think about protecting yourself and others and to try and get out of people's way as they work the area. So if you can, please leave the area right now if you're still here. We do see several people on their phones, calling their families, texting them, asking each other, hey, what did you hear? What's going on? So not a lot of answers, more questions than not. People are just, I think they're just taking it minute by minute, trying to piece it together and trying to keep themselves calm. But I'm going to walk around and try to talk to more people as I can and see if we can find any witnesses. Haven't talked to anybody so far, but it's still a pretty chaotic scene down here right at that intersection with KCFD. We have the ambulance here, and definitely hundreds of officers still staying put right near Union Station. So we'll bring you more coverage as we can.
All right, Gian, Kim, make sure you are safe no matter what you do, please. We're going to toss it back out to KSHP 41 reporter Daniela Leon, also along the route, assessing the scene. Some scary moments for us all. But Daniela, what are you seeing? And describe where you are and the mood for us.
Well, right now I'm in the corner of Kessler and Pershing, and you can see Union Station behind me. I'm being told by officers that they're currently working on clearing the entire hill that is all around World War I Memorial. As you can see, there's still some Chiefs fans there. They told me just to tell viewers to, if they have family members, friends, you name it, to please help them in clearing out the scene. This is a very active scene. It's a large scene. We were scooted. We just keep on getting scooted back and back. They keep telling us that this is part of a crime scene. This is part of a crime scene. So as you can imagine, these officers, I'm not sure what they're dealing with right now, but it is a pretty massive crime scene. I keep seeing people being pulled away in ambulances. I saw about 3 people being taken away so far since we started hearing those gunshots. We heard multiple gunshots. Again, we did see someone in handcuffs not too long ago being escorted away. We're still working on figuring out that individual's connection to this ongoing shooting. I'm seeing multiple law enforcement agencies. You can see KCMO is here. Members of the active duty are here as well. It was a very fast situation, Kevin. I got to tell you, it was insane how drastically this entire situation changed. We will keep you guys posted, but again, if you have any friends and family at World War I Memorial or at Union Station, please clear the scene. That is something that officers wanted me to tell you guys. Back to you.
Daniela, thank you. Make sure you are safe. It is hard to put into words the sadness that I feel in my heart right now. This is such a celebratory moment. It should be, at least. We've been this road 3 times before, and for all intents and purposes, there were arrests the last 2, but nothing pretty much like this. But to see crime scene tape surrounding the perimeter where we're standing right now, there were hundreds of thousands of fans, is very saddening. The fact that we had to take cover right in front of this desk where we are right now is very saddening. And just to see the fear and panic in folks' hearts as they rushed out that door right behind us, trying to seek safety themselves in what should have been a shining moment for Kansas City.
So I told you earlier that the people had been, they were still taking cover inside, and we have seen some people coming out of Union Station. I don't know what that means yet. One of our field producers went to go see if he could talk to anyone coming out. So we're going to toss things back to the studio. In the meantime, see if we can learn any more what those people who were leaving were being told. So we'll check back in with you in a moment, Dia.
Thank you, Caitlin. So I think people want to know what is going on. Let's get them up to speed. 2:47 right now. If you're asking the question, what happened at the parade today? Here's what we know so far. We know that 2 people have been detained. A total of 10 people, 10 patients have been sent to hospitals after a shooting, shots fired west of Union Station.
Y'all, in a breaking news situation like this, you're going to see us looking at our phones. We get updates in real time. Again, we have 10 victims, multiple hospitals, Children's Mercy treating multiple patients. We don't know ages, we don't know conditions. There's so much still left for us to figure out. Kansas City police are asking people to clear that scene, as Daniela just mentioned. The other thing is, at least, we need to go to Elise Schoenig right now.
Hey guys, it looks like they are kind of behind us, clearing out some traffic. You can see they're actually moving the gates of the parade. We might have to move our spot here in just a little bit. It looks like they're trying to clear up the parade scene as they handle, of course, what's going on, what's been going on ever since the parade had wrapped up. I did want to bring, this is Lester. He was in the middle of just the chaos, and you came up to me and said that you were able to see just some of this unfold. Can you just talk to us about what happened and what you saw?
Well, it was energetic.
Okay,
yep.
Give us just 1 second. We're going to move this way just so we can make sure we can get these people in place they need. Give us just 1 second. All right, guys, we're going to move our shot over just so we can make sure we're out of the way so police officers can block off the street because that's what's most important right now, of course, is making sure that they have the best access. And so now that the streets are blocked off for people to get out of here better, I'm going to, again, bring in here Lester. Just tell me, briefly describe what you saw.
Okay, it was energetic. The crowd was like live. Everybody was having a great time, and then kind of out of nowhere we just kind of saw a little bit of confusion or chaos going on in the front. We had a vantage point, and all of a sudden it was like a scramble of the crowd. We really didn't even hear any like shots or anything like that because it was loud. We just saw the crowd and the commotion, and it was like a little mini stampede or something like that, and then we was hoping everybody was okay. Actually, we saw police officers running into the side of Union Station, and we knew that's where the players were. So we was like, oh my God, what's going on there? So we're hoping all the players are okay. We're hoping everybody's okay on today, and that's what we saw. It was pretty crazy, and
you and everyone you were with were able to get out safely.
Oh yeah, we were safe, but it was a moment where we were kind of worried about how that thing was going to go. I hope everybody's okay. Patrick Mahomes, the whole Chiefs family, and I hope everybody's okay.
Lester, thank you. Just to kind of touch on what he was saying, my photographer and I were also in the middle of our setup, celebrating just like the team was, when all of a sudden, kind of to echo what he was saying, we started hearing noises, and it really was like we were looking at a stampede in real life. We saw just the crowd start to part, and no one really knew what was happening. So it definitely was a really, really scary situation to now know that what essentially is the worst nightmare of these events happening and us celebrating our city and our hometown team, that it can end in something like this. And so please just do whatever you can if you are here still downtown to get out of here. Police are clearing the streets because they want to make sure they have complete control of this area. We'll go ahead and give one more look because they've shifted the gates sort of how they originally were set up to make sure that they have the best access here. And once again, just prayers to everyone who was involved and who was affected. I hope that everyone is holding their loved ones close on this celebration turned tragedy. Guys, I'll go ahead and send it back to you.
All right, Elise, thanks for that. We have Megan Abundis standing by for us on the phone there at the scene as well. Oh, Daniela, we're going to go to Daniela Leon instead at this point. And Daniela, have you learned anything more?
Hey, Dia. Well, right now we are currently gathering information, just trying to talk to people to get a better idea as to what is going on. Right now, joining me is Christina. You were there and you saw things. You don't even know what you saw quite yet, frankly. Tell us what you heard and what you saw.
Well, we just heard a bunch of, pop, pop, and people started running and scattering, and people, crouching down low, and people saying, move, back off, and everyone started running, east, and the lady next to me, she has some blood on her calf, so she got grazed. They had a guy behind us drop down to the ground. He pulled a gun out. We don't know exactly what's going on with that, just a lot of commotion, not sure what's going on and where to go, what to do. They say run, but it's like, where do you run?
What goes through your mind after going from such a high to such a scary low? I mean, that's something I'm still trying to figure out how to come to terms with.
Yeah, I don't think we have either. We're just kind of like, we're parked over here. We're camped out because we can't get to our car. So we're just kind of like, what do we do? Is anybody okay? It's just kind of shocking.
Has it changed your perspective in big celebrations? This is something that I'm already thinking about, so I'm curious if this is something that you're thinking about.
We've done this, 2-3 times? This is the first time anything really bad has happened, so we'll be back, just maybe a little bit more cautious.
There you go. Casey Strong over there, guys. Again, we are working on gathering additional information. If you do have friends or family here at World War I Memorial or at Union Station, please let them know that police do want to clear the scene. That is a message that they want me to relay on to you guys. Back to you.
And you can just hear that initial shock from people, not only the fans, but also our crews. We do have Megan Abundis, who's standing by on the phone. And Megan, what are you hearing? What did you see?
We are at University Health Truman Medical Center. We are surrounded by ambulances, lights, and sirens. It's incredibly sad to be here and watch these people wait for answers. We've seen 4 people in Chiefs jerseys and shirts offloaded from the ambulance, and I spoke with a woman who says her 15-year-old daughter was shot in the leg, and she's waiting to see her. People are just so visibly upset, holding each other, and just really crying. To go from such joyous times to what we're seeing right now, it's really hard to look at. We know that the hospital is expecting to treat 5 people that were transported from near Union Station. And it's just really, really hard to think about and see these people hold each other and wait for answers. And, I mean, they have their babies and they're in Chiefs gear and just staring. We've seen a number of ambulances come in and medical personnel in scrubs waiting to receive them. I've seen another ambulance come in right now, and they're beginning to offload someone. People are walking out of the emergency room in Chiefs gear as well, and just standing and waiting. So we're waiting to hear from the public information officer of the hospital. But still, they're expected to treat 5 people. It's just incredibly sad to see these people so distraught after such high emotions.
Oh, boy. Megan, I'm going to tell you, like I told Kevin, like I told Caitlin, we need you to take a breath, and we'll check in with you in just a little bit.
Indeed, just not an image that you see ever. People in Chiefs jerseys going to the hospital, not something we see often.
You know, this is a situation where we are all experiencing in real time what countless people have experienced. It's just so jarring because there was a collective moment of joy just moments before.
Everyone was so excited. They woke up early. Some people even camped out last night.
Governor Mike Parson says he and Lady Parson were in attendance when shots were fired. They're safe and secure. State law enforcement personnel are assisting local authorities in response efforts, and their hearts go out to the victims. They'd like to thank the Missouri Highway Patrol, KCPD, and the security officers for their quick and professional actions. We also saw a tweet there from a member of the Chiefs training staff who says that he, his family, and Coach Reed and Miss Tammy Reed have been escorted away from Union Station. So we're starting to get some notifications there. We're going to send it to Gian Kim, who we have there on the phone at the scene. Gian, has anything changed where you are?
Well, I've since changed my location. Right now, I'm standing at Pershing and Grand. We just saw additional EMS vehicles come down Pershing. Not sure exactly where it's headed. It looks like it's stopping right in front of Union Station right now. I actually ran into 2 gentlemen, Ty and DeMorian, who was in that crowd when people started to run. Tell us what that moment was like for you. Describe to us what happened.
It was a crazy situation. You know, we was on the left side of the stage. You know, we was just having a great time, just listening in. And then next thing you know, we hear shots, or it sounded like fireworks at first. And then you notice it wasn't shots once people start running across and going into Union Station. And we was just trying to make our way like towards the middle, so nothing bad to us happened. So yeah, it was just a crazy experience.
And what was that moment like for you, Ty, when people started nudging you and moving in on you?
Yeah, it was crazy. We heard shots, and right as I was taking pictures, I seen a whole bunch of people running, like, as I'm taking the pictures, and I'm running back, and people was falling over, and then, I don't know, it just dispersed into a big crowd, and then I seen people running the Union Station, the cops. It was crazy.
So what did you guys do? Just start running in the same direction as other people, or walk me through what your instinct was?
My instinct was basically get away from the action as most I can. I just didn't want to be in that crowd because I didn't want to put myself into jeopardy. So I was just making sure my friends was good, the people that we was with was good, and making sure myself was good as also.
Absolutely. Were you guys in a big group? I know when I first ran into you, you guys were looking for your cousin that was separated from you. Good news is we just got the call right before this interview that they have located your cousin, correct?
Yeah. He's good.
Okay. And so you guys were in a group and you were separated among the chaos earlier?
Yeah. We started around this street right here, and we migrated our way over to the left side of Union Station. It was all kind of crazy stuff going on. It was already crazy stuff going on from the beginning, from fences being knocked down to people just yelling at each other and all that. So it was already a hostile situation at the start of the parade, especially when players start coming in and all that. So I'm just hoping everybody is well. The people that was shot, I hope they well too. It was just a crazy situation.
You know, we have seen stuff like this happen on the news more often than we want. Did you ever think that you would find yourself in the middle of a situation like this?
Not down here, especially like during parade time. You know, the last couple of years when we have parades and stuff, it's usually chill. Everybody's good, but I don't know what's in the air today. But like everything just didn't feel right. You know, just kind of come down from college. We were just trying to have a good time and then just go back up, but it's hard to have a good time when stuff like this happens.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much. I'm so glad you guys were safe. Go find your cousin. Thank you for your time. You heard him. You know, people are getting separated. I see some people still stranded looking for a ride home. A city parking lot over there, apparently people can't go in to get their cars until 3 p.m., so you got people wanting to leave, but they can't. And so definitely what was supposed to be a joyful celebration has now turned into this. But, you know, we'll be out here trying to find more people to talk to and trying to piece together what really happened out here today. But we'll send it back to you guys for now.
All right, Gian Kim reporting for us live there at the parade route scene. So we are getting a couple of updates. We have Megan Abundis there at Truman Medical Center, and their public information officer tells her they are treating 2 gunshot victims. 1 gunshot victim is en route, and 2 additional victims have non-gunshot injuries. So this could be a situation where maybe not all 10 of the victims in this shooting have gunshot wounds that need to be treated. And so again, we're just really trying to bring you some context, as much information as we can about what's happened, updates on the victims with some empathy and context, because as we've said over and over again, today was a celebratory day.
It really was, and I think a lot of people may have been separated during the chaos from their kids. In fact, I know a lot of people have been retweeting me on social media about this, the child reunification stations. If you got separated from your child or you know someone who did, let's remind you about where those areas are. 2301 Main, and inside the main entrance of Union Station, they have several children. Kansas City Police saying they still need to reunify with their parents. You can contact the officer nearest you for reunification information. And that's really important because when we saw all of those people rushing out from the area, no doubt there were children separated from their families, scared too.
And this is a scenario where, as we just told you, there are still victims being transported away from this scene here at Union Station. So this is still a very, very active situation and a moment that, I mean, how could you forget?
You can't.
We're looking at law enforcement there. And again, we're trying to make sure that we bring you the very latest as we get it. Daniela Leon is there for us at the parade route. And Daniela, I know you've been talking to folks there about what they've experienced. Who are you with now?
Hey, Deja. Hey, Dia. I apologize. We were just moving along, and we saw another batch of police officers just heading west along this. I believe it's Pershing here. We're still trying to figure out, but you could just see the amount of officers right now at the scene. This is a massive crime scene, is what officers keep on telling us here at KSHB. They keep telling us people need to just start clearing out. Like I said, officers continue to be running in all different types of directions. It has been an hour after that initial, shooting was made. We're still trying to gather that information, right? And again, it's as you can see, officers are still heading in all sorts of directions. People are running. We're trying to figure out what's going on here. But this is, again, a very fluid situation. It's a very heartbreaking scene, Dia. The amount of parents that I've been talking to off camera, and I apologize if I get a little emotional, but the conversations that they're having with their children, I'm seeing a lot of scared children children, and it's definitely not an easy conversation to have with your kid, especially coming out of a celebration like this. So lots of difficult conversations are being had among Chiefs fans right now, their families. A lot of people are waiting near me, trying to get to their cars that they parked at Union Station. It's a pretty chaotic scene, Dia. We will keep you posted. Again, we're not sure what situation just happened out here west of Union Station. We're trying to gather additional details. All we saw is a bunch of officers just run towards that direction. Once we figure out those details, we will keep you guys posted right here on KSHB. Back to you.
All right, Daniela, thank you for that.
This is just heartbreaking. I mean, how do you explain this to your kids, some of which have never been to this parade before, and then this happens?
This is something that you can't really put context to until the days and weeks and sometimes even months down the line. What we can tell you is that there was a shooting shortly at the conclusion of the Chiefs Kingdom Champions Parade today there at Union Station. This happened west of the garage. Shots were fired. We're told as many as 10 victims involved in this shooting, and two armed people were detained there at the scene. We're going to send it back out to two people who were there on air, live, for us when all of this happened, and that's our colleagues, Caitlin Canute and Kevin Holmes.
And Caitlin and Kevin, you guys had to duck for cover.
Hey guys, a couple things. We did. I mean, in my 20+ years in this business, I've never had to take cover so quickly because of an emergency, because of shots fired, and that's just what we did. Literally, with this desk we're standing behind as a barrier, we hit the ground and we kind of just
got as
held
low
each
as we
other.
could. That's all we could do.
Exactly.
Called my husband, later told my sister-in-law, who was watching my kids, to please make sure they're not watching the air right now, because that would be scary for them to see.
Yeah. Hey, real quickly, a couple things we have to mention. We've been talking about it, but several unification sites. If you have a loved one out here and you can reach them, or if someone is missing, we need to mention some of these unification sites. You can find on our website, kshb.com. From where we're standing right now, Union Station, some of the closest ones, Blue Cross Blue Shield, which is kind of stone's throw to my left from where you are. T-Mobile Center is one, of course. You also have UMB Bank, just to name a few, and Crown Center. About 5-10 minutes ago, we saw
I want to show you something. I don't know if we can pan this way, Al, if you can show right here in real time, and if you want to take this camera, guys. We saw a bunch of law enforcement officers, state troopers, KCPD running around the rear of the building over to the side, and we saw them send some people who were outside who had maybe left back into the building. So Kevin has been connecting with sources. We don't have anything confirmed yet, so we're not going to share that till we have it confirmed, but we do believe that there was definitely some activity around the back of the building, because we saw a rush.
Several officers, guns drawn, even as they made their way to the rear, kind of where parking is in the back of Union Station. That kind of lets out into the post office. For those of you familiar with that area, that's where we saw a flurry of activity. Several police officers make their way there with their guns drawn. So it's unclear exactly what's taking place, but we are on the phone. We are texting with sources, trying to gather information, and once we have things confirmed, we'll make sure we bring that to the air, bring it to you on air.
And speaking of sources, Kevin, you spoke with a source who did tell us, gave us some more clarification, that as of right now, and this is coming from a reputable source, that 1 dead, 9 injured. 1 person dead, 9 injured. That's coming from a very reputable law enforcement source.
Yeah, and we're still trying to find more. This is, of course, a fluid situation, so there are several moving parts to this. That number could go up in terms of injuries. We certainly hope and pray it doesn't, but still a lot of activity here, a lot of police cars. And from where we're standing, we're actually kind of within a crime scene. There's crime scene tape that surrounds every place we are here at Union Station as police secure the perimeter and try to figure out what's happening, what's now an active crime scene. And I don't think we can stress it enough how you can see people's personal belongings still on the lawn here at Union Station.
I told Kevin we've got a baby stroller right there, and then I looked over the side and there's some children's chairs right there. You heard our reporters talking about the families who are now on the perimeter of this, but scared kids, I can't even imagine.
Kansas City, hug your loved ones, especially tight tonight, and tell them that you love them. We're going to go out to KSHB 41 reporter Megan Abundis, who is along the route gathering information for us as well. Megan, what are you learning?
We are outside University Health, Truman Medical Center here, just minutes from the parade. People are still trying to exit from the parade. This group that you see standing here is waiting for news. Their family members are getting treated in there. We've seen a number of ambulances drop off people in stretchers, all wearing Chiefs jerseys or Chiefs shirts. This crowd right here has been hugging each other, talking to each other. I told you earlier that I spoke with a mother who said her 15-year-old daughter had been shot in the leg, and she wanted to see her and was so distraught. We saw a person fall to their knees here at Truman Medical Center, and they were also carted on a stretcher, unconscious. I mean, it's horrible to see these reactions of people who are waiting for answers and waiting for hope. We know that Truman Medical Center has said that they are going to be treating 2 gunshot victims. But we have seen a number of ambulances drop people off in Chief's gear here at Truman Medical Center. We're waiting a word, but I don't know if you can see the medical crew, but they have been in scrubs waiting to receive people, talking to those crowds there. We saw fans try and drive through this emergency entrance, trying to get to their loved ones here in the hospital too. People just want answers, and they want to know where their loved one is, if they're even at this hospital, or, you know, what has happened. It's just been hard to see people visibly upset, holding each other. We're waiting for word on if more people will be transported here, and we'll continue to keep you guys updated.
All right, Megan, thank you so much. Hey, as of right now, a tweet via KCPD, the only reunification site left is Union Station. So for some reason you're not with your loved ones, you may want to go right here where we are right now. It is a secure perimeter. You can talk to an officer, and they will make sure that you are reunited with your loved ones should that be the case. But as of right now, this is the only reunification site left.
And that's somewhat reassuring for us being here right in front of here. I can't stress enough what a front row view we had to that happening in real time. Seeing the crowd go from joyful to suddenly terror to chaos and panic, and not knowing what was happening. Like so many in the crowd, we were right there with them, as was Elise Schoenig. She's out there along somewhere out here, and I'm not even sure where you are, Elise, but if you could tell us, are people where you are they okay? Are they trying to get away? What's happening there?
Yeah, we're here on Pershing and Grand, which is the area that police have started to actually block off. You can even see there's more EMS crews continuing to make their way directly toward Union Station. As you can see, more police cars driving. And if you pan even to the right, you can even just see how many police cars are still just parked and blocking this whole area off. We definitely have an all-hands-on-deck situation here, as understandable. Just hearing my colleagues who are at various spots taking part in this coverage today and who are watching a lot of really hard things unfold in front of their eyes. I'm in disbelief. It's shocking. When we first had kind of found out what was potentially going on, I actually was right next to my fellow colleague Abby Dodge, and we literally just grabbed hands and just decided to get to safety. So out here, police are still continuing to block this area off. They're not letting many people in because they want to have all control over this area. Guys, we'll go ahead and send it back to you once we figure out what else is going on out here. I can give you any other information.
All right, Elise, we have some new information to report. It's not what we want to, but we have confirmed one person has indeed died. 3 people are in critical condition, and 5 are in serious. This is still a fluid scene right now. As we've mentioned, we are surrounded by yellow crime scene tape in what was just an hour ago a celebration of the back-to-back world champions. So this has really taken a somber note, and it's still a very fluid situation here.
And so many law enforcement officers all around the area, EMS crews who are standing by, and I cannot tell you how quickly they jumped into action. It was, you know, you just tell them, thank you, thanks for being here. You make me feel a little bit safer, you know? I mean, they jumped into it, they ran toward danger, and that's what they do, and we appreciate them.
We certainly do, and right now they're gathering. In fact, I see several of my friends on the police force right now just trying to secure the perimeter and trying to figure out what the next plan of action is here at Union Station, where celebration has really taken a turn for the worse here.
And we know deadly. It has turned deadly. Again, yes. 1 dead, 3 in critical condition, 5 serious. We don't know their ages. We don't know the extent of the injuries of those who were injured. Jeon Kim has been, after making sure that the threat was over immediately here where we were hunkered down, she jumped up to do her job, and she went out to go talk to people and see what she could learn. Jeon, we're going to toss things back to you.
Hey guys, we are still at Pershing and Grand, and I think this is where most of the people are being pushed out to. You see people lingering around trying to find rides home. We see, hello?
Keep talking, Gian. Come on.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Sorry, there's some connectivity issues out here as well. I'm just on my iPhone bringing you all of this as I see it. There's a lot of people just kind of scattered about at Grand and Pershing, and this is where people are calling their Ubers and waiting for their garages to open and trying to find people that were lost, that got separated from them in all of the chaos. I ran into Brian here. Brian, you were there right next to Union Station, but on the other side of the station.
Yeah, so we were just waiting for the crowd to clear. Obviously, there's a ton of people, and not thinking anything of it, I noticed cops just running towards, and I didn't think anything of it. And then out of nowhere, my wife is grabbing our daughter and running. It's like, what's going on? And then I just see everybody run, and that's pretty much that I see. And shooter, and that's everything that happened fast. And we're just hanging out to get our stuff. We just ran fast as we could to make.
I'm sure your wife and children here just to have a day of celebration and make great memories as a family. What's it like for you to be here now?
Definitely a lot different. We've been to all three parades, and obviously this one was a lot different. So, yeah, it was just with my daughter, having to experience that. She was just saying she was feeling a little shaky, but at the same time she's okay, which, that's all that matters. And, yeah, just unfortunate that this has to happen, and not the best way to end a good celebration.
And I ran into you and your dad waiting out here. You were separated from your things, and you're waiting so that you can go back in there and gather your belongings.
Yeah, a couple strollers that we have, and they told us it might be a few hours, so I guess we're hanging out, and hopefully everything works out for the best, because, yeah, we just wanted to make sure that everything was safe.
So people over things, right? I'm just happy that you and everybody in your family is safe. We will get your things when it's time to get them, but I'm just happy that you're here with us. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. We'll send it back to you guys.
All right, John, thank you so much. And several of the players right now taking to Twitter, including Patrick Mahomes with the tweet saying, praying for Kansas City. And I think at this hour, we certainly all are after what has taken place. We had crews along the parade route. We had crews here at Union Station with us. And unfortunately, now we have crews outside the ER gathering the latest details from police and fire crews who are still working to secure the scene and to try and figure out exactly what caused all this chaos.
Right about now, we were supposed to be bringing you the highlights of today's rally. It was supposed to be the fun moments and the moments we all cheered about, and instead something much, much different. This day has ended in a way that none of us could have anticipated, or certainly would have hoped it never would have turned. Daniela Leon was also with us on the stage when shots rang out. She's also out there doing her job despite going through moments of absolute panic. Daniela, you're doing a great job. I just wanted to tell you that and see how you're doing out there and who you've had a chance to talk to.
Thank you so much, Caitlin, and I appreciate, Caitlin took a moment to just give me a hug and say, hey, breathe, it's okay. But it definitely was a scary situation when you see cops running from different directions, people jumping barricades. And joining me right now is Monty. You were actually there on by the stage, and you were collecting confetti. Tell us what you saw and what you heard, Monty.
Well, the first thing I saw was Casey Mo's finest jump the barricades, and they were telling everybody to move, move, move. And they went inside the building, and probably 1 to 2 minutes later, everyone started running out of the building, and you could hear people yelling, active shooter, active shooter. At that point, we were picking up confetti on the other side because I kind of followed the police over the edge and picked up confetti with another guy, and they told us to hit the ground, and that was pretty much it. Didn't really hear any gunshots. I was on the east entrance, so but there were plenty of people running out of the building. So.
And you're right now currently waiting to get your car because it's at Union Station right now. Have you heard any updates as to when you're going to be able to get your vehicle? You're one of many people waiting for an answer on that.
No, we haven't. Obviously, they've got the area secured. You got the FBI here, Casey Mo, Prairie Village, Olathe, got all the police here in force, and everything looks good. They're handling it. I mean, it's just one of those things we got to live with. It's a new world, so.
Has it sunk in at all that this happened? It was such a high. I was interviewing Chiefs fans talking about Valentine's Day to end like this. Has it sunk in at all?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, absolutely. You know, we can't live in fear. Fear is a false exaggeration appearing real, and these people are here to handle that, and I think they did a good job today. And I mean, it's just an unfortunate situation. You got some people that were hurt, maybe one fatally, but they're doing a good job. So.
Thank you so much for sharing your story. We appreciate it. All right, guys, there you guys have it. Again, they're still working on clearing out the entire scene. You can see there's still a lot of Chiefs fans waiting to get into their vehicle right now, and I'm going to send it back to you guys. But before I do that, I do want to tell my friends and family who keep texting me, I am okay, you guys. To my mom, I know she's been calling me, Mom, I'm okay. Don't worry about me. Sending it back to you.
We're glad you're safe. If you need to take a breather, by all means, make sure you do so. And as Daniela, to her point, there are still several people who are kind of in limbo because they're waiting to get inside to their vehicles, but their vehicles are now in the midst of what's a crime scene here.
Yeah, you heard that man talking about the stroller, and we told you we have one just to the right of us here recently. And again, we've been catching up on this much as you at home are, scouring various sources and texting with our crews everywhere. And one that Megan Abundis has been on the phone with folks over at University Health, and they said all family members with family taken there are to go to the hospital chapel. That's where we're going to bring people in. So loved ones getting that call they never want to hear. And please excuse us. I mean, some of us are a little emotional, but you know, nothing really prepares you to have a front row seat to something like this.
Yeah, it does. It doesn't. I mean, it's something you can never really prepare yourself for. You and I plan to be out here to, as you mentioned, talk about what a jovial moment this was. Yeah. You know, we're going to go back inside Union Station this evening and bring you some of the highlights. And I was going to come out here and talk about cleanup, but this gives it a whole different meaning as you look at the ER right now and families anxiously waiting to hear the news of their loved one after a celebration, something so jovial, something that we have done at least twice before in the last 5 years is now turned deadly.
We're going to toss things back to Cameron and Dia in the studio. They've been doing a great job keeping us informed out here in the field and stepping in. At one point, we asked if we could take cover when things started getting scary, and they sat in there and so that we could seek cover until the immediate threat had passed. Cameron and Dia.
Caitlin, Kevin, thank you guys so much in such a tough situation, being able to bring us as much context and information from the scene where you guys have been experiencing this, right along with people who were at the parade and had to go through everything that happened after that shooting.
And the more we hear about this, I just keep getting chills, just hearing about our crew taking cover, then learning about one of the victims, a 15-year-old recovering from being shot and all of this. It's devastating.
We do have some updates to get to. We got information from ATF that there are agents on the scene of this afternoon's shooting, along with multiple other federal, state, and local law enforcement agencies. They're assisting the Kansas City, Missouri Police Department right now, doing their best to just really get a handle on what's happened. No doubt question the two armed parties who were detained at that scene.
We're also starting to hear from some of our elected officials, like Senator Roger Marshall from Kansas. He had this statement to share. Today, I join thousands of Chiefs fans who came together to celebrate a great season and honor the Super Bowl victory, which has brought so much joy to our state. I am devastated and angered. It goes on to say, by the senseless act of violence that turned a day of celebration for our community into a complete tragedy. During this chaos, our team thankfully made it to shelter safely. My heart breaks for those who were a victim of this needless violence. I am praying for everyone in the entire KC community, and I think we all are today.
We're going to go to Manny Abarca, who is on the Jackson County Legislature, somebody who's been involved in this city, attended the parade with his daughter, had to shelter in place inside Union Station. Manny, first of all, how are you? How is your daughter?
Well, unfortunately, she believes it's still a drill, and so that is a testament to the reality of society that we live in. But it's shaking. It rocks you at your core, and it's infuriating. So yeah, thanks for checking in.
Manny, talk to us about those moments. Where were you seated during the conclusion of the parade as things were wrapping up, and how did you end up inside Union Station during all of this?
Yeah, thankfully, we were one of the sponsors at Jackson County, and so we were very close to the front of the stage. We entered Union Station on the eastern side of the building, and it was jovial. I mean, the players were there, Coach Reed was there, the Hunt family was there, elected officials were spread across the room. And it wasn't until we saw a sea of people rushing the awnings that we realized something was wrong. And so we made a mad dash into Pierpont and thankfully sheltered in place. But it was a good 20 minutes before we knew anything was happening that we were sitting there with our feet against the door trying to hold back what we may fear would be an intruder trying to break in. So it's time for change.
Manny, you talked about those initial moments. It's somewhat sank in now. What are you feeling like right now?
Well, immediately once I realized that we were saved, I texted our general counsel at the Jackson County and said, I want gun reform now. I want legislation Monday. And I know as I left with peers at the state, at the city, we all share that same sentiment. We're trying to get over the reality of we just witnessed and we're a part of an active shooter situation, and we can no longer wait on people. And I'm disappointed to hear Senator Marshall have everything to say, but it's time for gun reform.
You know, Manny, you're a Kansas City kid, right? I mean, grew up on the west side, have been active in this community for a very long time. But on today, you're a dad, man.
Yeah.
You're at the Chiefs parade, lifelong Chiefs fan, trying to bring up the next generation. What is the conversation like between you and your daughter as you're hunkered down for safety?
Draw on my phone, be quiet, whisper. She looked at me and said, thankfully, we're in a restroom because I have to go potty. And I thought, these automatic flushers, that's going to get us. So it's surreal to think about all those different things and to put yourself in that moment. It's life-altering.
Manny Abarca, thank you so much for taking the time during a pretty tough day for the city.
Life-altering. Hearing him say that, it just...
Glad he and his daughter are safe. We're still working to get conditions on those victims that we still are unknown about. We're going to go and bring you some perspective from someone who was there when this happened and who witnessed the shooting and the aftermath as it all unfolded.
It was a loud sound. Like, we definitely heard the shot, but we weren't really sure. Like, it wasn't instantly like, oh, that was a gunshot. Like, it took a second to react.
Yeah, it definitely sounded kind of like a firework at first, because I was thinking, you know, maybe they were celebrating after everybody went off for the rally, but after everybody, the police came and immediately, like, guarded all of us. So that's when we kind of realized it was a more serious event, and we all just kind of ducked down by the fence while everybody kind of just protected everybody standing by that fence.
There were tons of, like, police officers and troopers and stuff surrounding us right away when it happened.
It was definitely a scary moment. I wasn't expecting something like that for the Chiefs rally, but the police did a good job at making everybody feel safe and comfortable, and like they were protected, so I wasn't as scared as I felt like I would be. So I really appreciate that from them.
Well, we just heard a bunch of, pop, pop, and people started running and scattering, and people, crouching down low, and people saying, move, back off, and everyone started running, east, and the lady next to me, she has some blood on her calf, so she got grazed. They had a guy behind us drop down to the ground. He pulled a gun out. We don't know exactly what's going on with that, just a lot of commotion, not sure what's going on and where to go, what to do. They say run, but it's like, where do you run?
It was energetic. The crowd was like live. Everybody was having a great time. And then kind of out of nowhere, we just kind of saw a little bit of confusion or chaos going on in the front. We had a vantage point. And all of a sudden, it was like a scramble of the crowd. We really didn't even hear any like shots or anything like that because it was loud. We just saw the crowd and the commotion, and it was like a little mini stampede or something like that.
Any minute now, we're awaiting information and update in the press conference from Kansas City Mayor Quentin Lucas and Kansas City Police Chief Stacey Graves. But until then, we're going to get back to our crews there on the scene.
And I think the big question we're all wanting answers for is why. We may not get that answer just yet. It's still so early. But let's head out to reporter Leslie Delaspore. And Leslie, what are you hearing? What are you seeing? Who are you speaking with right now?
Hey, Cameron. Hey, Dia. As everyone has kind of mentioned, this scene here is something that, is almost unimaginable. We were here celebrating a good time, celebrating the Chiefs, and then it turned into chaos. You just heard from these two young ladies a few minutes ago on our air, but we talked to you guys maybe about 15 minutes ago. Tell us your names again and since we talked, I mean, how are you feeling? What's been going through your mind? I know you're pretty shaken up.
My name is Reese Randall. I would say I've had several family members and friends just calling to make sure that I'm okay after seeing pictures that I was nearby the stage, and just seeing that everyone reaches out to you to make sure you're okay, even though they didn't necessarily know that we were really close to where it happened. Just getting those texts and stuff and trying to reply back to everyone makes it a little bit more real, of people just making sure that you're okay. But I would say for sure seeing the amount of police officers, sheriffs, SWAT, FBI, all of that are surrounding to make sure that everyone is okay definitely makes us feel safer. We're still waiting to go back to our cars since it's in a parking garage just to be safer. But just having the amount of people surrounding to make this as safe as they can, and detaining people that seem suspicious to protect us definitely makes us feel better about it, even though it's a surreal and shaken up experience.
Yeah, and again, tell us your name again, and just kind of, you know, what has your family been saying? How are you feeling from 15 minutes ago when we talked?
Yeah, so my name's Shayla Flowers. Immediately, my dad called me after. The service wasn't great, so he called her because she's part of our family. So to know that within 2 minutes something like that came out to the news, where people were calling and texting and making sure that we were okay, was definitely something that made it more real. But even 30-45 minutes after we left that area, people are still around. Cops are still, you know, making people move, and we're waiting to go to the parking garage. To know that something like that's still going on later, it definitely makes it more real and a more surreal experience. It's definitely emotional. There were people around us, like we said, being more emotional, and being able to comfort them kind of helped us keep our emotions in check a little bit. But to know that there were people that were protecting us, like the police and even father figures, was definitely making us feel a little more comfortable in a situation that you don't expect to happen on a day where, you know, the Chiefs are back-to-back champions, and you come to congratulate them and to have a parade. So it was definitely an experience that we didn't expect to have when we woke up at 6 in the morning this morning.
I see you're getting emotional a little bit. Those tears, are they coming from just a sigh of relief that you're safe, or the fact that this happened? I mean, what's kind of going through your mind right now?
I would say just seeing like things come out of nowhere. We were just between interviews kind of just sitting there looking at pictures that we had taken from the event, and seeing literally 15 minutes before having to walk up this direction and being escorted out, maybe 5-10 minutes before we heard the shot, just literally taking a picture in front of like the fenceway that was blocking us from players, and just seeing that we were literally standing right there taking pictures and just having a good time, and something like that can be ended so quickly with something such as like an active shooter, or even just a threat of that, but being able to hear it just made it even more real for us, and being right there. But again, having people reach out and having police officers around us, and people that care about our community to comfort us.
Well, I want to thank you guys for talking with me, and take care of yourselves. Go home, get some rest, and tell your families that, you know, you're okay. So Dia and Cameron, I want to send it back to you guys and make sure these girls get home safe.
All right, Leslie Dellis reporting for us live there with some people who witnessed this and had to experience it, and some really tense moments there.
Absolutely. You saw one of the girls she was interviewing getting emotional. I think that speaks to what a lot of people are feeling who are right there in the middle of the chaos. We did get an update from one of our hospitals, University Health, about the number of people they are treating. They tell us that they are treating 4 gunshot victims and 8 other individuals who were not shot in the incident.
So this is, again, a very fluid situation. We're getting more information as it unfolds, right? I mean, our hospitals, our first responders are all trying to assess and gather and just bring us the most up-to-date and accurate information, and we're going to work to do the same. So we're going to go ahead and send it out to our crews there live at the scene once again, and I think this time we're going to have Daniela Leon again reporting for us, and you're standing by with someone.
Yeah, that's right. Good evening, guys. I'm sorry. I apologize. I've been here since 4 a.m. Again, this was supposed to be a day of celebration, and it's just still shocking to see how it has turned out. Joining me right now is a mother-daughter duo who are holding each other a little closer right now because of what happened. You guys were so close to it. You guys aren't letting go. Talk to me about what happened. Introduce yourself first and talk to me about what occurred.
My name is Amy. This is my daughter, Michaela. We were down over really close to the situation. and we saw people starting to jump over the gates, and then they were telling us to run, but then they said active shooter, and then so we just dropped down to the ground. My daughter tried to climb on top of me to protect me, and I tried to just hold her so nothing would happen to her.
That's a very tough situation. You guys are not letting go. Talk to me about just how scary that was, and the comfort in being safe, both of you right now.
It's very scary. I mean, this is our second situation. I don't know, a while back, about
Highlands Elementary.
8 years ago, we were at work at Highlands Elementary where there was an active shooter across the street, and we had to race all the kids to the gym and, wait for the parents to come and get them. So being with my daughter, making sure she's safe is my number one priority, and coming down here to celebrate and then on such a sad note. It's devastating.
It's been very hard. Have you guys been able to talk to other family members? I know you guys had a group out here.
Yeah, our cousin and aunt are over there, and then my sister was picking up our babies from the babysitter, and my dad has called us, and he's in Oregon. So we've been talking to people. They've been, I think my cousin had 31 messages asking if we were okay.
And we can't leave because our car is parked in the garage and they have it closed off as a crime scene. So we can't even leave to go home to be with our family.
And that's what you guys want right now, is just to be with the family. Again, thank you so much, ladies, for sharing your story. Again, this is just the many stories and the many voices that we're giving you guys. Again, still shocking for a lot of people to just come to terms with what occurred here at Union Station. I'm Daniela Leon reporting for KSHB. Back to you.
Daniela, we're going to take over here at Union Station for just a brief moment. We were actually in the prime location for the parade and for the celebration here with the stage behind us, but as of right now, we are in the midst of a crime scene. So Caitlin and I are going to have to regroup. KCPD asking us to leave where we are right now. As I mentioned maybe 20 minutes ago, we're surrounded by the yellow crime scene tape. So as a result, this is still an active scene. Caitlin and I are going to have to regroup to higher ground, and we hope to bring you more reports of what we are seeing and everything to keep you and your family safe and make sure that you guys are reunited with your family and know the latest on this developing situation.
So bear with us as we log off. Again, we don't want to hamper law enforcement's efforts. We want them to be able to do their jobs, and we don't want to get in the way. It's trying to balance that fine line by also giving you the information that you want to know at home too, and understandably so. So we have KCPD standing by to escort us out of this crime scene. It will take us a little while to come back to you live because we were hardwired into the system to bring you the parade, so we don't even have the tool to go immediately live once we get outside of that yellow crime scene tape. So if you don't hear from us, we are okay. We're moving to comply with police requests, and we're going to try to get back up live as soon as we can. In the meantime, we'll try to see if we can learn some new information.
All right, Caitlin, Kevin, thank you very much for that. Here is a live picture for you. We are again awaiting that press conference from Kansas City Mayor Quentin Lucas and the Chief of Police in Kansas City, Stacey Graves. It looks like they're now testing the microphone to make sure the audio is clear. As soon as they step to that microphone, we will bring you that press conference live.
Should be happening any minute. In the meantime, we are starting to see more responses from Chiefs players. Justin Reed tweeting this out in the last 20 minutes or so, saying, praying for everyone in Kansas City at the parade. We're seeing a lot of prayers today from players and other people in our community, and we need them right now during this time.
We want to be able to bring you more of the reaction, some of those voices of the people who were there at the scene, at the parade when the shooting happened. Let's listen in now.
First thing I saw was Casey Mo's finest jump the barricades, and they were telling everybody to move, move, move. And they went inside the building, and probably 1 to 2 minutes later, everyone started running out of the building, and you could hear people yelling, active shooter, active shooter. At that point, we were picking up confetti on the other side because I kind of followed the police over the edge and picked up confetti with another guy, and they told us to hit the ground, and that was pretty much it. Didn't really hear any gunshots. I was on the east entrance, so, but there were plenty of people running out of the building.
We heard I call it a spread. I don't know what kind of gun it is, but it was like a prrr, like that. And all of a sudden, the girl next to me, where my daughter was standing with her husband, was shot in the mouth. Our children witnessed it. She was on the ground, bleeding from her mouth, all over her shoulder. And we knew then it was going to be serious. And people just, like, when the crowd shifted and started running, all we could think about was protecting our children because they were going to get trampled on while we were trying to stay safe. I'm never bringing my kids to another place like this again. They ruined it for us because this is the second time we've came to something big event like this and there was a shooting. So it's just not safe anymore wherever you go at all. I mean, there's too many people, too many children for them to just spreading guns like that. You know what I mean? Go to find God because you're putting everyone's life in jeopardy, including your own, by doing something so stupid and so selfish. It's just, you don't think about other people. You're not thinking about other people at all.
We got Donovan Smith, who's tweeting, praying for everyone today in Kansas City. You know, Cameron just read a tweet from Justin Reed. He was just celebrating on that stage at Union Station, talking about how proud he is of this team and how much they love this community and how quickly things have turned. Police are up next, and we are going to be hearing from them at that press conference there. It's happening downtown at police headquarters. We should hear from Kansas City Mayor Quinton Lucas, as well as Chief of Police Stacey Graves. And it looks like, once again, they're trying to make sure the video is clear, the audio is clear. We have Elise Schoenig there standing by for us. Elise, what's the latest?
Yeah, Dia, just a couple minutes ago, I actually went over to someone who looked just beside himself, and he told me that his friend was one of the people who was shot, and he was waiting to hear an update and to see if he could learn anything else about his condition. He did know that that friend of his was with family. He believes that friend of his is at the hospital, but he was walking around just trying to find anyone who had answers and could tell him whether or not his friend was okay, where his friend was for certain. And I think that's just the worst part of all of this, are all the questions. And you think, you know, is my loved one okay? Was so-and-so there? Did so-and-so get out in time? Did so-and-so have to see this? Did my little one see this? What does my little one think? Again, all these questions are just the worst parts of these things. We're still where we started, which is on Pershing and Grand here downtown, still kind of at this portion where police had originally closed this street off because they didn't want anybody to be getting in while they were figuring out what exactly was going on inside. It looks like some of these cars are starting to clear out over here, and they're making sure, just once again, that everyone is getting out safely. There's still some people walking around trying to make phone calls. Service out here really isn't the best, and so they're trying to make sure that they have everyone that they love tracked down and that everyone that they love is safe and is okay. And once again, kind of just watching as this scene is starting to just at least take somewhat of a deep breath for some people here. We still see law enforcement out here. They're walking around. They're trying to just keep us all safe, and we cannot thank them enough for doing so in such a scary situation like this. It's one reassurance to see that our law enforcement is doing everything they can to make sure everyone is all right. We'll go ahead and send things back to you all. For now, we're going to continue to look at the people who are left out here and go talk to them and make sure that that they are okay and that their loved ones are okay, guys.
Elise Schoenig reporting for us live there. Thank you so much for that. We're going to bring you some images. This is video from what transpired earlier this afternoon. Again, these pictures are not live. This is video of what happened. And I'm sure you at home have a lot of questions, right? What led up to this? What really happened? How many shots were fired? The ages and conditions of all of the victims at all of our hospitals throughout the metro. We hope to bring you some of those answers once we hear from, again, the chief of police and the mayor.
And the why is so crucial here, and we may not even know that today or tomorrow. It may take weeks before we really figure that out. But again, as Dia just mentioned, we're waiting on a press conference with Mayor Quinton Lucas and Chief of Police Stacey Graves. But you're taking a look at video. This is not live right here. Previous video of the moments after the shooting. You can see all of the people who were there. We're talking about hundreds of thousands of people, right? And law enforcement, hundreds of them just from KCPD alone. But we also know ATF is now involved in this investigation, the FBI, as well as state troopers.
We also see a tweet coming in from Trey Smith saying, my thoughts and prayers are with everyone affected by today's incidents. A huge thank you to the first responders who ran toward the sound of danger. Trey Smith went on to say, you are the ones who should be celebrated today. We're going to go to Leslie Delaspore.
Leslie, what are you hearing? Who are you speaking with now?
Hey, Cameron. Hey, Dia. Sorry, I'm just over here talking to a mom's and a son. Chrissy, you told me off camera your child went missing for an hour?
A little over an hour.
What was going through your mind at that moment when this happened?
Well, it was right after the shots were fired. I didn't know if he was dead. I didn't know if he was injured. I had no idea. It was probably the worst feeling I've ever felt.
So. Jaden, I mean, where were you when all this happened? What happened?
At first, I was following her, and then I turned around to make sure she was following, and she disappeared. So then I went to look for her and told her to stay where she was, and then when I came back to look for her, she was gone.
I mean, how... Oh, sorry, no, go ahead.
That's when everybody was fleeing and stuff.
How scared were you? I mean, you didn't see either of your moms there. I mean, what was going through your mind?
I was mainly just nervous because I heard a few gunshots, and that's pretty much it. I was just nervous.
How many gunshots did you say that you heard?
Around 6.
And how are you feeling now? I mean, you're reunited with your family. What was that feeling like when you saw them? I mean,
I felt happy.
Mom, what about you? How'd you feel when you tell me? I think you told me, what was that embrace like when you saw him?
I about choked him to death, honestly. I jumped on his back and like yanked him backwards, but when he realized it was me, he just kind of dropped everything and he turned around, and I don't think he let me go for a good 5-10 minutes, which, being 15 years old, I don't get those hugs anymore.
But now I'm sure you're gonna hug him a little bit tighter tonight, right?
Every night.
And for you, I mean, what was that like, not seeing anyone at Jaden or Chrissy here? I mean, what was going through your mind?
Scared. Thank God there was somebody that helped me get to safety with my vision. I am legally blind, but a young man helped me. And then out of nowhere, Jaden popped up, asked me where I've been. Before I knew what was going on, I had him. I approached him and I'm like, don't you ever scare me like that again. And then we went off and found his mom.
And for you, I mean, you told me, you said you're legally blind, but you heard the gunshots. I mean, what was going through your mind? I can't imagine.
This one gentleman, he was like, hey, shots fired. I'm like, I am legally blind. Can you please just help me get to safety? He took me by my arm and he just took charge. And I'm extremely grateful for him. If he's watching, thank you.
And how are you feeling right now? Are you kind of at calm or at ease? What's going through your mind right now?
Relief that my kid's okay.
Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. Hug each other a little bit tighter tonight. Get home safe. Thank you so much. Cameron, Dia, I mean, you can't even imagine that a mother was here, or two mothers were here with their son and trying to enjoy this celebration, and our mother's child went missing for about an hour, and her heart just dropped completely. But thankfully, they're reunited and whatnot. We're watching them walk away now, holding hands. So we're going to send it back to you guys.
That really stuck with me, Dia, knowing a mother lost her son for an hour. It just speaks to the chaos that happened after that shooting.
It's time for this press conference to begin here. So we see Kansas City Mayor Quentin Lucas and Police Chief Stacey Graves walking up to that microphone there.
Hi, everyone. I'm Quentin Lucas, the mayor of Kansas City. I'm joined today by Police Chief Stacey Graves, our Fire Chief Ross Grundison. After I'm done speaking, Police Chief Graves will give details on the incident that happened earlier today. A few things that I want to make sure we note at the outset. First, today, we had 600 Kansas City, Missouri Police Department officers, 250 from outside agencies. We went out today, like everyone in Kansas City, looking to have a celebration. That celebration was marred by a shooting today. And we recognize that there are some who are injured. We are praying for the safety of everyone. I've talked to a few different folks so far. One, we have spoken to the Kansas City Chiefs, who made clear that their prayers are with everyone who was at the parade today, everyone in Kansas City, and everyone who was touched by this incident. They also noted that their players, coaches, and staff are all accounted for at this point and safe. We, however, know that this is a fluid situation, so all that we are sharing now may change as the hours go ahead. We've also received a call from the White House that offered all federal assistance in the investigation. We had federal agencies present today. We appreciate that, and certainly in the days ahead and the hours ahead, we will make sure we continue to do this work. I will say personally, first, a thank you to the women and men of law enforcement, to the women and men who work with the Kansas City Fire Department and our other agencies. When the shooting started, I, like many others, ran for safety. I saw a number of agencies, including the Kansas City Police Department, officers with guns drawn who are running towards danger. We thank them for that. As I was leaving the scene, I saw members of our Kansas City Fire Department administering aid to folks who are seriously injured without concern for the shootings and the challenges that were near them. This is absolutely a tragedy, the likes of which we would have never expected in Kansas City, and the likes of which we will remember for some time. However, I want to say thank you to those who are making sure that we are safe today, those who are investigating this incident, and those who will continue to make sure that those who committed these acts today are brought to justice. We'll come back for some questions at the end of the chief's comments, but now the police chief, Stacey Graves.
Chief Stacey Graves, Kansas City, Missouri Police Department. At the conclusion of the chief's rally today, there were shots fired on the west side of Union Station. Immediately, officers responded to the area, took 2 people into custody, and also immediately rendered life-sustaining aid to those victims. We're still gathering information on the number and the status of victims, but like I said, we know that one of the victims is deceased. We also know that officers ran towards danger. Officers were there to keep everyone safe. I'm angry at what happened today. The people who came to this celebration should expect a safe environment. We had over 800 law enforcement officers, Kansas City and other agencies, at the location to keep everyone safe. Because of bad actors, which were very few, this tragedy occurred, even in the presence of uniformed law enforcement officers, who again ran towards them and took them into custody. To the people who were injured in this tragedy, our hearts go out to you and your families. This investigation is just beginning, and we are working safely to clear all surrounding areas and businesses. This is still an active investigation. We will continue to keep you updated. We will keep you updated on Twitter and most likely a follow-up press availability. Did you have anything? No. One of our victims has been declared deceased. We have. Right now, we have up to 10 to 15 injured by. Yes. Right now, we do not have an exact number of people who were victims of a gunshot wound. It could be upwards from 10 to 15 with one deceased.
Do you know how many are in critical condition at this point?
I do not have conditions on our victims just yet.
Any believed to be children?
I do not believe that any of them were children.
Any law enforcement injured in this? First responders?
Nothing of note.
Chief, what do you guys believe now prompted the shooting?
That is still under investigation. I myself was outside when I heard the shots fired. It is an ongoing investigation. It's going to take us a little bit to determine exactly what led up to the shooting. I will say, though, we do have 2 suspects in custody.
There are rumors circulating in social media that some fans may have helped detain one of those.
I have heard that as well. I have heard that fans got involved in the apprehension or the pursuit of one of the suspects. I cannot confirm that right now, but that is something that I have heard myself. Yes?
How about the response time? Because you say 10 to 15 possibly injured in the shooting, but there was 800 officers there. This happened pretty quickly. So can you talk about when this started, sort of a timeline from there to the point where your officers responded to the point where you had KCFD helping to
Absolutely.
Your first aid?
As soon as the rally concluded, there were shots fired on the west side of Union Station. Officers were on scene in the area. I know one of the suspects was immediately pursued on foot. Like I said, there's 2 suspects in custody. I have heard the information that was just requested. I will confirm or deny that. But after that, immediately officers began rendering life-sustaining aid, calling in fire, which is the fire department, to also assist those victims.
Do you know if there were more than 2 people taken into custody, because we had 2 people after you guys had made your announcement. There were 2 people in custody, 2 people live on our air being taken, handcuffed, put into vans. So can you tell us about that and the process as this investigation continues?
I don't know exactly the 2 that you're talking about that your camera caught on video being loaded into a wagon. I don't know that, but I can tell you that in and around that scene, it is still active. Not active in necessarily threats, but it's a very active scene. We're still investigating. This is still early on. We still have parties that are walking into hospitals.
Chief Graves, do you know anything about the suspects in terms of where they're from? Are they from here?
I do not know that, but that's something that I also will be finding out.
2 questions. We are hearing upwards of maybe 20 shots. Can you talk about the number that you heard while you were...
I'm hearing 10 to 15, possibly 15, with the one that is deceased.
And do you know anything about the timing? It seems odd that it's waited to the very end of the rally.
I don't have anything about... I can't give you an answer on the timing. I can just say that that's when it occurred, and we are investigating what led up to that. Maybe once we get some of those details, we'll know why that happened at that time, but right now it's still too new.
Chief, was it just one incident or multiple incidents that injured multiple?
That is something that is under investigation.
Mayor Quinton Lucas, you talked about how you were on the ground and you yourself had to run for safety. I understand we're still waiting on a timeline and trying to understand what exactly happened. But we were having a Super Bowl parade, and this is what the country is talking about now. What is your message to this city at a time like this?
I second the comments by the chief of police. I'm heartbroken. First of all, I'm praying for the victims and the families impacted. I start with them. I'm incredibly upset, disappointed. I was there with my wife. I was there with my mother. We never would have thought that we, along with Chiefs players, along with fans, hundreds of thousands of people, would be forced to run for our safety today. I think that I'll let the investigation shake out before coming to any further conclusions, but I think the initial response absolutely is anger. You know, we have done a number of these now, and this is a day that a lot of people look forward to, something they remember for a lifetime. And what they shouldn't have to remember is the threat of gun violence, marring a day like this, injuring them and their families. This morning, I was actually thinking about bringing my child, as many people in Kansas City did. And I don't want us to have to, in our country, for every big event, think about a concern of being shot. As the chief noted, we had a lot of law enforcement officers there today. They did exceptional and outstanding work, and I will second that again. Because on your timeline point, I was inside of Union Station. We heard something. A number of us start running, and I see a stream of officers going the exact other direction, in, with guns drawn, ready to address danger. And that was the situation throughout. People who responded absolutely immediately. But I wish that we lived in a world where they wouldn't have to do that. I wish we live in a world where we wouldn't have to see incidents like that. But I'm as heartbroken as anybody. We will do a full and thorough investigation. I hope that we bring whoever this is to justice, and we will continue to try to make sure that we can be as safe as possible. However, when you have people who decide to bring guns to events, when you have people who are deciding to try to mar events, celebratory ones like this one, all of us start to become members of this club that none of us want to be a part of, which is those who have experienced mass shootings. I hope for Kansas City this is one of the last times we experience that.
Were the players in any danger at any point?
What's that? Sorry, I'm going.
Players in danger at any point?
Was I in danger?
No, were any of the players, the Chiefs players?
You know what? I think we'll let the investigation take a look at that. The police department responded effectively, I think incredibly quickly, to make sure that people would be out of harm's way. That being said, a number of us had to flee from a situation because we heard a sound of gunshots. So I'll let you answer your own question in terms of whether you think that's something that puts you in danger or not. In my view, anytime shots are nearby, you don't know where they're coming from, you don't know who's firing them and all of that, then perhaps there is a situation of danger. But
thanks, guys. Thank you, guys. We're going to get back inside.
Can I ask a fire question?
Of the 10 to 15 injured that you say, are all of those gunshots and
you have a sense of how many, or are some of those also critical?
We've covered that. We don't have that information.
I'll just answer real quick. Hold on. 10 to 15 is what we have. Potentially 15. 1 deceased. I don't have a condition on the other gunshot victims.
Those are all gunshots.
Correct. That's correct.
We don't know how many.
One fire question.
No, I do not.
Because Chief Graves said there
We're going to have a lot of updates later, guys. We got to go inside and gather this information. I appreciate it.
Where are the updates, Jake, later?
Well, just look on Twitter.
I just have one. I just have one. I just have one. I just have. Excuse me. I just have one thing to say. This is not Kansas City. I'm angered by what happened, but I want you to know that the Kansas City, Missouri Police Department and all the law enforcement officers that were there today, that were serving and protecting, did the best that they could, and I'm so proud of them that they ran into danger, getting 2 people into custody, and at the same time rendering life-sustaining aid to those victims. We were here for a safe celebration, and because of 2 bad actors or more, it is why we're standing here today. We will recover as a city. My heart goes out to our victim who is deceased, but your police department stands ready, and we are invested in the safety and betterment of Kansas City. Thank you.
We'll send you guys more updates on Twitter, okay? Follow the Twitter account, and we'll put the updates that we have on Twitter. We'll update you guys if there's going to be more news releases, okay?
Thank you.
Officer Gonzalez, is the victim a male or female?
The latest there coming from Mayor Quentin Lucas and Kansas City Police Chief Stacey Graves. We're joined right now by Mick Schaefer, our sports director here, who was live on the air reporting during this parade. And Mick, this is, first of all, I'm so happy you're here. I'm so happy you're okay. But what a day.
Whole crew's okay, and there are a lot of them still there. As you heard, they're relocating downtown. McKenzie and I just got a ride back, and it was only 3 or 4 miles, and it took about 35 minutes. There's a video I took. This is after the gunshots. This is a flood of people, of police officers going into Union Station. Something happened inside Union Station, it was a gunshot or something else, but people ran out. And this was, once they started exiting Union Station in a hurried pace, that's when we all hit the deck, and we had already tossed it back to you guys on set as we were trying to figure out what was going on. And so we hit the deck. I got some video here, and our great photographer, Al Miller, was up getting video as well. It's not from a phone. And so that's that. And then not long after that, I heard a gunshot right there. And that was a number of officers arriving on the scene. It looked like the stairs down to the garage there under Union Station where you can park. You see just right there to the east of where everybody was sitting for the parade celebration on the stage there. And you see a number of officers convening after I heard that what sounded like a gunshot, right? And it was right behind
you see
the
McKenzie
NFL
in the frame
Network
there.
set. And then this is somebody being wheeled out of Union Station. Like I said, something happened inside Union Station. That is somebody being wheeled out on a stretcher outside Union Station. And those videos are in chronological order. So we were on the air when the gunshots happened. We didn't hear them because we had the headsets on, and it's chaos right in your ears, and it's so loud. But one of our photographers was like, yeah, I heard gunshots, and there's so many police officers around. I think one of them told him, yeah, 2 to 3 people might have been shot. We couldn't report that at the time, so we tossed it back to you to try to get our bearings. But at first, we saw people streaming toward Union Station. At first, okay, the Chiefs were exiting the stage. You thought, okay, people are just trying to get a glimpse of Patrick Mahomes and these guys before they leave. But then you saw them streaming west and south and east, and as well out of this area, which, as the police chief mentioned, was kind of the southwest part of Union Station, where I believe the gunfire emanated from. And so that was the first thing. And then we were looking around trying to gather information, and we were still going to come back on air. And that's when everybody started flooding out of Union Station. And that's when we decided, we got the orders, okay, get down. We all got down. And then after that, we heard the gunshot not long after that. Just behind the NFL Network. So.
Mick, I'll echo what Dia said. We are all glad you're safe. We're a family here at KSHB 41. So we hugged Mick as soon as we saw him here in the studio. Glad he is all right. But Mick, talk to me about what was going through your mind when you took cover, when you heard what you thought was a gunshot.
Right. I mean, it was surreal at the time. I mean, things just changed like that, right? On a dime, a celebration, one of the greatest days in, you know, sports history here in this town, and all of a sudden it is just marred, and it does a 180, and you just can't believe it. You hope maybe you're hearing something else, it's fireworks or something like that. But the way the officers responded, you knew it was something serious.
You could tell the urgency, and this is what Dia and I saw initially on video. You saw all those people rushing into Union Station right there.
So these are the cops running in. Initially, it was people, they were jumping over fences to get to safety, to get inside somewhere. They're not supposed to be in there. They didn't care at that point. They were looking to get indoors. And then not long after that, a lot of those same people kept streamed out of it. So something happened in there, and that's when the cops, as you heard the chief and the mayor say, they ran towards the danger there. That's when I started shooting video on my own phone, and then this is somewhere, I think near our set, people trying to jump over the fence is a quicker, exit out rather than having to run around a perimeter, because it's very tight there, right? The fountain is there, and it was cordoned off. You had so many stages and podiums that were blocking people. So, and that's tens of thousands of people right around where the gunshots took place.
Not to mention all of the officers, 600 officers just from KCPD, 250 from outside agencies.
Yeah.
Mick, thanks so much for that. Now our focus really turns to not only getting those details about what exactly happened there, but also the victims. We have Jessica McMaster reporting for us live. And Jessica, just bring us the very latest on what you've learned and the information and questions you were able to ask even after that press conference.
Police Chief Stacey Graves and Mayor Quentin Lucas just wrapped up their press conference out here, and I want to go over what we know so far and some of the questions that we asked. Police Chief Graves says that one person has died. She doesn't know the exact number of people who were shot. She says that's anywhere from 10 to 15 people. I did ask her, since we know Children's Mercy is accepting patients, if any of those victims are children. Some silver lining here, she doesn't believe any children were hurt in this. One of the things that captivated me during this press conference is, as you know, we have had 2 other rallies, Chiefs parades, that have gone off without any issues, no injuries. Our own mayor says that he heard something and started running for his life. He too was scared in this moment. He says he saw police running in the exact opposite direction that he was running in and began rendering aids to the victims on the spot almost immediately. The 2 suspects that are in custody, they're not giving us any information about that. I did ask if they're local from Kansas City. Police Chief Graves tells me that's one of the things she's trying to figure out. Live in Kansas City, I'm Jessica McMaster, KSHB 41 News.
Thank you, Jess. So let's go back out to KSHB 41 News reporter Megan Abundis. And Megan, you have been talking about this heartbreaking story of a family whose 15-year-old was injured in this shooting. Are you hearing anything else?
We saw a large group of family members that were in this area. They've all been moved to the chapel here at Truman Medical Center University Health. That was about 20 minutes ago. We've still seen families in Chiefs gear go to the hospital, the emergency room, and be escorted to the chapel. We've seen a person who is a part of hospital staff labeled as the pharmacist escorting these family members to get them to a safer area, a place where they can be reunified with their family. We just heard from the hospital that they're expected to address us here outside with an update of how many people they are treating. We have not seen any more ambulances off carting people with Chiefs gear on. It's a much quieter scene than it was about an hour ago. Actually, I see staff rolling up crime scene tape right now, so that's hopefully a good thing. But I mean, it's very quiet because all of the family members have been moved to a different area. Just to recap what we did see earlier, there were so many people in Chiefs gear being offloaded from the ambulances with their family members, and it was really hard to watch, and people were trying to get answers and were struggling to do so, so they were crowded outside of the emergency room. We're still waiting to hear from hospital staff about what's next and what's to come, and we'll continue to update you.
Megan, thanks for that. And you can see those family members there in that video we brought you a little bit earlier. Just imagine you're holding your babies, you're trying to make sure that you comfort the people there. And we really don't know. There's so much information that still needs to come out about what happened. But what we can tell you is anywhere from 10 to 15 victims. One person has already died. Multiple hospitals in the area are treating these patients. 2 people are in custody. They were armed there at the parade. They're in for questioning. And KSHB 41, man, we're here trying to bring you as many voices as we can. We're here trying to bring you as much context and information as we can as we learn it. And so this is a look at the streets that just hours ago were filled with people in red and gold and jerseys and confetti and friendship bracelets, for goodness sake. So this is
just eerie, I would say now.
You know, it was flowing with confetti. And now we see law enforcement there kind of watching over the scene. So again, we are working to bring you as much information as we can. We know hundreds of officers were there, and we've heard multiple times about the quick response from law enforcement.
I think the mayor and also the police chief's comments about officers rushing to go to the danger, that really resonates with folks, as well as first responders also administering needed aid for people who were hurt right there in front of Union Station. I think what also stood out to me, Dia, was the police chief called these 2 people in custody suspects. Before, they were called 2 armed people. So let's head out to Daniela Leon. And Daniela, I know this has been really tough for you. Who are you speaking with now? What are you seeing? What are you feeling?
Hey, Cameron and Dia. Well, right now we're at the scene of where that shooting took place. As you can see, a Kansas City Police Mobile Command Post just arrived here. There are several agencies still out here investigating. This continues to be an active crime scene. We have multiple Chiefs fans still waiting to get into their cars. As you guys know, Union Station did offer limited parking to some of the fans who decided to come out here and celebrate their Kansas City Chiefs. We're being told it could take a couple of hours for them to be able to get into their car. Again, this continues to be an active scene. They have the entire Union Station blocked off. You can't get near it right now. Several police officers posted all throughout World War I Memorial as well. It is a very active and large scene. We don't know how long it's going to take until they clear the scene. We're still working on gathering that information. We have been talking to a lot of people. Again, many of them just continue to be scared. It's really hard for them to come to terms exactly with what occurred. It's been a very chaotic scene nonetheless. So I'm going to send it back to you guys. Again, we are working around the clock to give you guys more details as they keep coming in. Back to you.
Thank you, Daniela. We're continuing to hear from more Chiefs players.
Trent McDuffie, Kansas City cornerback there, says, "Get the hate out of your hearts, praying for the kingdom." Again, another person who was just on that stage cheering and celebrating
a great
just the
day.
history being made. We also want to go ahead and get to Mackenzie Nelson, who we saw in Mick Schaefer's video.
She's live in the newsroom for us right now. Mackenzie, what was that moment like for you?
Well, Cameron and Dia, you just showed Trent McDuffie's post there on Twitter, and it all happened so fast. 1 minute we were watching the team celebrate on stage, all of us, Mick, Caitlin, Kevin, Al Miller, our photojournalist, and some VIPs. We were all in the area of our stage that you guys have been watching the parade coverage from, and we're watching the team celebrate, and when they wrapped up, it was almost like we heard shots just seconds later, and you looked to the stage and there were police kind of gathering the team to get them out of the way. But I have to tell you, it really did happen so quickly. 1 minute we hit the deck. I remember being next to Kevin and Caitlin, and Gian was there too at my feet. And the next, it seemed like it was forever until police came over to tell us that we were cleared to get up and move. But I will tell you, when we heard those first shots and kind of hit the floor of our risers where we were anchoring that show from, it was almost like we saw people running one direction, and then they started running into Union Station to kind of take cover. But then moments later, we saw everybody running out of Union Station. And so it was all kind of chaos at one moment, but you saw police there just running into Union Station after we had seen a number of people go in there seeking shelter. And it was just a lot of chaos, a lot of law enforcement running towards the shots while we were all taking cover. And so very thankful for all the law enforcement officers that were out there today, and very sorry, for those that were injured and involved in all of this today.
We saw people getting picked up, men, women gathering their kids immediately, so that way they can get out the way. So
Can you say that again just one more time?
Men and women were gathering their children. It was so many children just having to be like picked up real fast, and so it was just alarming. It was a scary sight.
Broke her leg.
Yes. So one of my children's father's sister, her daughter, ended up breaking her leg. So that's where we just got word from her dad that that's what happened, and nobody is able to get in there. So we're just gonna pray around the grounds. There's nothing else to do.
Did you see the shooter?
Yes. I seen
We saw one of the shooters. He had a brown jacket on, and he was running.
He was real young, probably looked about 16 or 17 years old. They were really young.
Yeah.
So it didn't look like it was some type of staged or anything like that. It looked like it was just somebody just acting out of control.
Yeah.
What kind of gun? What kind of firearm?
We didn't see the firearm, but we heard the shots. We had got out of there in the area where the shots went off. We were
literally standing there.
And so the fact that we got out before then was just a miracle.
Yeah.
So
Man, put this into perspective. You guys were probably having an amazing time. What a great day here in Kansas City and then this.
Yeah, I mean, to be able to celebrate and to have the Super Bowl, of course, and we're back-to-back champions, it's just a nightmare to be able to have to come into a situation like that of celebrating, and then out of nowhere, people are getting killed, and out of nowhere, children are being rushed to the hospital. But I look at it like this. You just have to always be ready.
Alert.
And alert.
Be alert.
To be able to help somebody. And God just told us to come down here and be on assignment, and this is our assignment.
That's great. I saw you walking around, you were praying, you were actively praying, your hands are out.
Absolutely.
Why?
God has done so much in my life. He saved my life many times, from guns, from bullets, and the streets and whole on, and the same thing with her. And because we have been active participants before in our past, we know what it's like to either be in a situation where your life is in jeopardy.
Yeah.
I've escaped death too many times, and so I'm just giving it back in prayer. We speak life now instead of death.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much. In case we missed it or something like that, can you say and spell your name one more time?
Yeah, my name is Leandre Allen, Leandre, last name Allen, Allen.
Great.
My name is Spencer Johnson, Spencerjohnson.
All right,
Wonderful. Thank you, guys. Thanks for spreading what you're spreading.
Absolutely.
We just received the statement from the Baltimore Ravens, which says, "Our hearts are with Chiefs Kingdom following the tragic events and shocking violence that occurred during today's parade in Kansas City. On a day meant for uniting people in joy and celebrating love, we send our full support to every citizen of the region and each member of the Chiefs organization who has been affected by this senseless tragedy." A statement there from the Baltimore Ravens.
Absolutely senseless. Let's head out to our anchors, Kevin Holmes and Caitlin Canute, who were there when the shooting happened. They had to take cover in all of this. Caitlin and Kevin, what are you seeing now?
Yeah. Well, since we last talked to you, we were asked to move. So at the time, I think we were the only news crew that was inside that crime scene. And so we stayed to try to be your eyes and ears for as long as we could. And then eventually police did ask us to move because it is an active crime scene. Mackenzie was talking about we saw people running every direction. So my husband was at work watching the parade coverage on our station with his coworkers. And he asked me later, he said, "Why didn't you get out of there? Why did you just duck down in the stage?" And I said, "We didn't know what direction shots were coming from." And that was because we heard it to the right. Then we saw people run into Union Station, then run out. And then it sounded like another gunshot over to our left, so it was just that utter chaos and confusion.
Yeah, well, you look at, we originally saw people running toward the fountain, actually toward Main Street, and we were still trying to discern what was happening. We were actually live as that was taking place, and we thought it just may be some people just trying to leave the perimeter for whatever reason. But when we saw people leaving out of Union Station and rushing in a hurry, in a panic, that's when we immediately took cover, and we had to get off air because safety, of course, was paramount. And I just learned from a very reputable source that among the shooting victims is a 10-year-old who was grazed by a bullet who is being treated at the hospital.
You know, I have an 8-year-old and a 10-year-old, so I think any parents who are at home who maybe didn't come are thinking that could have been me, that could have been my kid. I know Alyssa was talking to a family. I don't know if it was the same one, but one of our field producers, shortly after all this happened, talked to a woman who said that her daughter broke her leg trying to get out of here. They got separated from the father. So again, it could be the same family or it could be someone else, because you think about that panic and running, and you know that sometimes, I know that University Health has some injuries that are non-gunshot related.
And you think about the running joke earlier, hey, there are some school districts that didn't didn't cancel, and you're thinking, why won't you cancel for a parade, for a Chiefs parade, right? This is supposed to be a joyous celebration, a moment of happiness, a moment of unity throughout the entire metro, and instead, young, innocent lives were put in danger, and some as a result of recovering at the hospital. This is the last thing we expected or wanted to report on what should have been a parade, a celebration for the world champions.
So if you look behind us a little bit, you can see there's here. We've seen some people who wanted to get back in to get their belongings, and police are saying absolutely not. It's going to be a while before they let anyone in.
In fact, when we were asked to leave the perimeter, the area we were set up, they told just take the essentials of what you need. There are some belongings back there on the KSHB 41 stage that we're going to have to go back to once the crime scene is cleared. We're going to get out to KSHB 41 reporter Megan Abundis, who she has been following this for us. Megan, one of the people who had to seek safety shortly after it happened. So Megan, she spent a lot of time at the hospital. Megan, are you still there? What are you seeing, and what can you tell us?
We are. Yeah, we are still outside of True Medical Center, but we have still seen Chiefs fans walk by. And I'm here with Spencer and Leandre, and you two were at Union Station. You said you saw the shooter.
Yes, ma'am. We saw a shooter in a tan jacket. He was running at the time from the ranger that was looking for him, and he got pointed out, and he had darted back into the crowd, and right like feet away from us. And I'm glad that I'm sure they apprehended him, but we had made it out just in time. Yeah.
And Spencer, you said just in time also meant a stampede.
Yes, it was children and being picked up by their fathers and mothers trying to get away. And so we were trying to get past as well, and it was just alarming. It was a lot that was going on.
How do you put this into context when you are going from a celebration to now?
The only thing that you can do is you resort back into your hope. Where your hope lies, you can only be like, okay, God, something has to change now. I mean, it's crazy to go from celebrating to having a painful experience where people are passing away or dying or being, stampeded and hurt and harmed. God led us back down here to begin to pray, and everything is foundational in prayer.
You described it as your worst nightmare when that happened. Is that accurate?
Yes, it can be a nightmare. Your children, you never want your children to ever go through this. You don't want anybody to ever, be hurt. I mean, Kansas City is such an amazing place, and we want everybody to be safe at all times. But to the fact that you can go from that to gunshots being gone off, and you're thinking there's fireworks, but it's a gunshots and somebody's getting killed. I mean, it's a nightmare. But we're here to spread hope through prayer.
And Spencer, you also said during that stampede, a friend of yours, a child, was hurt.
Yes, she broke her leg. We found out when we came back up here at Children's Mercy that she ended up breaking her leg. And so all we could do is pray. And so we're going around the grounds just praying and interceding for her and the other children that were affected, because it was a lot of people affected by this. So
thank you both very much.
Absolutely.
We're still outside of the hospital here waiting word from staff about who they are treating and what their condition is. We have not yet seen any more ambulances. Again, that family has been moved into the chapel to be reconnected with their family members. Guys, back to you.
Thank you, Megan. And we continue to hear more perspectives from people who were at today's parade. Let's listen in.
I haven't taken a breath whatsoever. I'm just trying to make sure that, people are safe and going to where they need to be and everything. And I'll cry it out. I'll do what I need to once I reach my husband and my family, my loved ones. So
thank you.
Here's we're having some technical difficulties right there. We'll get back and listen to those perspectives shortly. We do have a statement from Governor Parson. I do want to read this for you right now. It says, I want to start with a thank you to Kansas City Police along with other state and local first responders who were able to quickly take 2 individuals into custody. It goes on to say this right here. Doesn't look like we have the rest of that statement just yet, but when we do, we'll be sure to bring it to you. Today's shooting, absolutely devastating. We've heard from countless people, not only people here at the station who are at the parade, but also those who were at the parade as well, just hoping to have a good day to celebrate with the players and their families. And then we have this happen right here. So just an absolutely awful day. We've seen video of confetti in the streets, people leaving their strollers, their chairs. It gives you an idea of the urgency with which people left. Let's listen to more of these perspectives.
We heard I call it a spread. I don't know what kind of gun it is, but it was like a prrr, like that. And all of a sudden, the girl next to me, where my daughter was standing with her husband, was shot in the mouth. Our children witnessed it. She was on the ground, bleeding from her mouth, all over her shoulder. And we knew then it was going to be serious. And people just, like, when the crowd shifted and started running, all we could think about was protecting our children because they were going to get trampled on while we were trying to stay safe. I'm never bringing my kids to another place like this again. They ruined it for us because this is the second time we've came to something big event like this and there was a shooting. So it's just not safe anymore wherever you go at all. I mean, there's too many people, too many children for them to just spreading guns like that. You know what I mean? Go to find God because you're putting everyone's life in jeopardy, including your own, by doing something so stupid and so selfish. It's just, you don't think about other people. You're not thinking about other people at all.
Oh. We were down over really close to the situation. We saw people starting to jump over the gates, and then they were telling us to run, but then they said active shooter, and then so we just dropped down to the ground. My daughter tried to climb on top of me to protect me, and I tried to just hold her so nothing would happen to her.
Well, it was right after the shots were fired. I didn't know if he was dead. I didn't know if he was injured. I had no idea. Like, it was probably the worst feeling I've ever felt.
Jaden, I mean, where were you when all this happened? What happened?
At first, I was following her, and then I turned around to make sure she was following, and she disappeared. So then I went to look for her and told her to stay where she was, and then when I came back to look for her, she was gone.
I mean, oh, sorry, no, go ahead.
That's when everybody was fleeing and stuff.
How scared were you? I mean, you didn't see either of your moms there. I mean, what was going through your mind?
I was mainly just nervous because I heard a few gunshots, and that's pretty much it. I was just nervous.
And how are you feeling now? I mean, you're reunited with your family. What was that feeling like when you saw them? I mean,
I felt happy.
Mom, what about you? How'd you feel when you tell me? I think you told me, what was that embrace like when you saw him?
I about choked him to death, honestly. I jumped on his back and like yanked him backwards, but when he realized it was me, he just kind of dropped everything and he turned around, and I don't think he let me go for a good 5-10 minutes.
Coming up here, we knew going into a big crowd that there was always that chance of something like this happening, but we wanted to experience the fun day with the boys, and thankfully we were far enough away and it wasn't loud enough that these two just kind of slept through most of it.
Let's get back to that statement from Governor Mike Parson from Missouri. He says this: I want to start with a thank you to Kansas City Police along with other state and local first responders who were able to quickly take 2 individuals into custody. It goes on to say this: and provide critical care to victims following today's shooting. We do want to get back out to reporter Elise Schoenig right now. And Elise, what are you hearing and what are you seeing?
Yeah, guys, we're finally starting to see a little bit of just some stillness in this activity. Police have continued to block off this area. They actually just recently have put some tape up. If you want to go look over here, they are officially closing this road. You can see again the yellow tape with the neon sign saying road closed ahead. People have still been trying to walk through or even drive through, those who are still lingering, and they've been redirecting them and telling them to please not cross this area as they are wanting to have complete protection and control over this area. At this point, it started to clear out a little bit downtown in terms of the people that we're seeing. There's not as many people that we're seeing now as we were seeing, of course, earlier as this was all happening. To my right over here, actually, I know you guys were referencing this earlier when you were saying, you know, look at this was the parade route, right? This was at one point filled with Chiefs Kingdom and with our players and with confetti. Then it was filled with police cars, and you can see that road actually has opened up now, and traffic is able to go through that way as well. Last time we talked to you all, this road was closed off, so there's a little bit of a difference in the movement in traffic there as well. Another thing I do just want to add, we've all been hearing how response from law enforcement was so quick, and just really, saying how Kansas City Police Department and all responding crews have been handling this. If I can bring everyone one positive thing, just so everyone has something after this happening. We saw police officers playing with two young girls over here who appeared to be scared because they didn't know what was going on, and there were two officers who sat and played with these girls for probably about 30 minutes just to distract them from what was going on around them. So of course, in the grand scheme of things, what happened today was still a tragedy, but was certainly a moment to stop and stare at when we saw that happening, again, in the middle of everything that has happened today. We're going to continue to monitor the roads, especially, again, like I said, with this road now being closed, and then this one right here. So this is actually going down Grand Boulevard now. This traffic appears to now be open to people again. And once again, we'll just keep you posted out here with other information that we're able to learn and confirm. But for now, I'll send it back to you guys.
Elise Schoenig reporting for us live there. Thanks for that.
All right, we want to go out to KSHB 41 News reporter Alyssa Jackson. She's at University Health. And Alyssa, what are you hearing from people there?
Hey guys, yeah, I have been here at University Health for the past hour, and it's hard to describe the scene here at the hospital. When we first got here, there was a crowd of people who could not get into the ER, waiting on their family and friends, loved ones who were victims in this incident. I actually spoke with a woman off camera who, for obvious reasons, did not want to do an interview. She had blood on her shirt. She was describing to me how she wasn't that far away from her brother who was shot at the parade, and she's looking for him, hoping that he is safe. So what we have seen here is just incredibly sad to even fathom how quickly we go from such a high to such a low. We've noticed families pulling up here at University Health. They were hopping out of their cars. They were rushing over here to the ER to check on their loved ones. And right now, we've given you the latest that we have from police, but we do know that several people were shot. You know, one person has passed away, but as far as we know, there are no additional victims that KCPD has reported to us so far. So we have talked to several people. I've talked to a family who had their two little boys who decided to be further away from the crowd, and good on them because they didn't want their kids to be caught in a crowd if something did happen. So we are going to keep standing out here. We are waiting for the hospital to brief us and give us an update, but for now I'm going to send it to you guys back in the studio.
Alyssa Jackson reporting for us live there at one of the probably most fraught places at this hour, where families are waiting to be notified of how their family members are doing.
University Health treating several people, we know, most of which were gunshot wounds.
We're going to show you some video now of a person being tackled shortly after the shooting near Union Station. It's one of many videos that are circulating on social media. You see here that a person was running and they're being pursued by what appears to be other parade goers. He was eventually detained by law enforcement. We're still working to confirm if this person was involved in any way with today's events. That's not clear yet. We're still working to continue to clarify exactly what was happening in this video and at the scene. You may see this video on social media, but again, we still are unsure about what transpired there.
And we heard from police that 2 people are now in custody, calling them suspects. The chief of police did about an hour ago or so. Now, we did hear from former U.S. Congresswoman Gabrielle Giffords, a shooting survivor herself. She released a statement on what happened here in Kansas City today. We'll get to that statement in just a little bit.
We have Michael Tabman, who is retired law enforcement, on the phone for us. And Michael, thanks for joining us, especially on a day like today. Can you describe what's happening at this moment?
At this moment, the police department is investigating this matter with 2 people in custody. They want to determine, obviously, how this happened, why this happened, and the culpability of the individuals that were involved in this. They want to ensure that this was not part of some widespread conspiracy, which it was probably not. They want to know if anyone's responsible for aiding and abetting the crime in terms of getting people the weapon. And they'll coordinate with federal agencies such as the FBI to ensure this was not a domestic terrorist event or something similar like that, a threat to national security, though it's probably not, but they need to cover that base. So right now they are in the investigative mode, and they need to put together a strong prosecution on these 2.
And Michael, on that same note, how much is going on with law enforcement at this point? It seems like we're hearing a lot of different information depending on who you ask.
That's going to happen in every tragedy like this. I've been involved in that myself, where just information gets repeated and it's repeated incorrectly. There's a certain amount of controlled chaos within law enforcement when this happens. It sounds like the police department did a pretty good job in getting these two into custody quickly. The information that's getting out there are, people saying what they saw or what they think they saw or what they heard. And we know in our history that witness statements right after a traumatic event like that could be pretty unreliable. So I say, before we draw conclusions, sit and wait. The police department will come out with a press conference as soon as they have enough facts to do so.
Michael, it's been a couple of hours now. We've talked a lot about it may take a while to investigate what transpired in regards to the shooting. How soon could we really get an update on the victims here? I mean, their conditions, things like that.
Well, there's a lot that goes into that. The police department does not really control that information. People have privacy concerns when it comes to the medical condition. That'll come out of the hospital, and it'll be a matter of whether or not in a police statement they want to tell people what's going on, or in a larger press conference, members of the hospital staff who've been authorized to release that information. Again, it's just a matter of time of getting done. There is no schedule for this. It happens when it happens, when there's enough information to go out there and give the public some information. You don't have to give them everything, but enough to at least satiate our need to understand what happened.
Michael, people are wanting answers. They want to know the why. But realistically, how long could an investigation like this take?
I don't think this will take very long, because it sounds, and I could be wrong, of course, we don't know all the facts, it sounds like it was two individuals that got into a dispute and pulled guns on each other. People reckless and irresponsible, brandishing weapons in this incredibly crowded environment. I don't think it'll be very long before they make an arrest. We'll probably hear about it, if not tonight, by tomorrow, that someone's been charged. And again, they always say the investigation really starts after the arrest. After they make that probable cause and they put someone in custody, they will continue the investigation. There's going to be forensic work being done at the scene of the weapon. There'll be more interviews of witnesses and of the suspects themselves if they wish to make a statement.
You've heard it multiple times throughout our broadcast today into this afternoon. This all turned on a dime, Michael. I mean, it went from confetti and music and celebration to gunshots in the air and thousands of people running for their lives. Talk to me about what's going on for law enforcement from totally different agencies there, and how quickly they have to kind of transition.
Law enforcement has a long history of working cooperatively. I was the assistant special agent in charge of the FBI in Kansas City for a couple of years. Incredibly close relationship with all the local PDs, the sheriff's office, the other federal agencies. It's not what you see on television, where everyone's fighting for jurisdiction or fighting for command and control. This is a police department matter. They are being assisted by the other law enforcement agencies. Unfortunately, we've become very experienced in these type of events and are more trained, so they know what they're doing. They'll have their information flow set up, a command center if called for, and sort of the responsibilities divvied up. Like, for example, wouldn't be unusual if the FBI took over the forensics because of their expertise in that.
That leads to my next question, Michael. What does it say to you that the FBI and ATF are assisting?
I wouldn't say it makes it any bigger than it is or any less than what it is. It's just become standard in these type of cases because of the expertise. ATF obviously has the ability to trace these weapons better than anyone else. The FBI does great forensics and are the best interviewers that we have out there in law enforcement. So this has become pretty standard. I wouldn't say it suggests any bigger conspiracy or terrorism just by their presence. It's just law enforcement cooperating.
Michael Tapman, retired law enforcement, tapping in to kind of give us some context and understanding around what's happening during a shooting at something like a Chiefs Super Bowl parade, and even now as the investigation continues. Michael, thank you.
Thank you.
Let's get back to that statement from former U.S. Congresswoman Gabrielle Giffords, who was a shooting survivor herself, if you remember. She released this statement on what happened here in Kansas City. It reads, quote, "In Kansas City today, a celebration has turned into a nightmare again. Americans should not have to live in constant fear of gun violence, not a Super Bowl victory parade or anywhere else. As we mark 6 years since the mass shooting in Parkland, Florida, another community has to face that trauma. My heart goes out to Kansas City. We're with you, and we will never stop fighting to end gun violence."
We're trying to catch our breath a little bit, get as much information as possible. We recently got an update from University Health, and just to make sure I have it correct, they are treating, it looks like eight gunshot victims, and 2 of them are critical at this hour. And so they are also treating others who have non-parade related injuries. But, you know, this is a situation where every hospital in this community, every law enforcement agency in this community are all responding, trying to make sure, 1, that they treat the victims, and 2, that they figure out how this happened.
And it's important to note this information can change practically every minute, even every hour, I would say. We're continuing to get updated information here, so some earlier information may change, so we want to note that.
We're going to go to Jessica McMaster, who's standing by, because we're going to get another update, Jess, from the Kansas City mayor and the Kansas City police chief here in about 25 minutes or so. Have you heard anything more?
We've not, Dia. In fact, we're piecing together what happened by hearing from those hospitals, as you just mentioned, and combining that with what the police chief is telling us. I just heard you guys say that there are 8 gunshot victims at one of the hospitals, and so far the police chief tells us that there's just 10 to 15 people hurt, that 1 person has died. She's not giving us any other details than that. You know, we do know that a lot of children and families were down here, thousands of people. And if there's any silver lining in this, the police chief tells us she does not think any children were hurt. We wanted to make sure that people know that. There are 2 suspects, as we've been telling you, who are in custody. I did ask the police chief if those suspects are from the Kansas City area or if they came in from out of town. She says that's one of the things that she's looking into. We also addressed some rumors that are circulating on social media. There's a lot of chatter over whether or not some Chiefs fans actually helped take out one of these suspects. The police chief tells us that's something that she's currently looking into, so we're hoping that we're going to get that update in about 25 minutes. As we mentioned, we did hear from the police chief and Mayor Quentin Lucas about an hour ago. The mayor himself says that he was running for his life. Take a listen to how that press conference went just a few moments ago.
I'm incredibly upset, disappointed. I was there with my wife, I was there with my mother. We never would have thought that we, along with Chiefs players, along with fans, hundreds of thousands of people, would be forced to run for our safety today. I think that I'll let the investigation shake out before coming to any further conclusions, but I think the initial response absolutely is anger. You know, we have done a number of these now, and this is a day that a lot of people look forward to, something they remember for a lifetime. And what they shouldn't have to remember is